Modern Cairo is a city of over 22 million people, the largest in Africa. The call to prayer echoes across a skyline filled with minarets and concrete towers. Streets are packed, alive, and always moving. But 5,000 years ago, this same land along the Nile was just a wide floodplain. And from that quiet riverbank, one of the most powerful civilizations in the ancient world was born. So what happened in between? Pharaohs, conquest, betrayal, empire, collapse, revolution. A simple river valley that became the center of the world. A civilization that rose, fell, and refused to disappear. For centuries we have only imagined what ancient Egypt looked like. Broken temples, worn statues, and silent pyramids are all that remain. But now, using AI to rebuild old carvings and paintings, we can finally see Egypt as it once was, alive, full, and powerful. Dynasty by dynasty, moment by moment. You are about to witness 5,000 years of power in one story. Sit back and join me on a journey through one of the greatest civilizations in human history. We are going to travel across 5,000 years, from the first pharaoh to modern Egypt, all in one sitting. Let's go back to where it all began. The year is 3100 BC. The year is 3100 BC. Along the Nile, a powerful ruler named Narmer rises. He does something no one had done before. He brings together Upper Egypt in the south and Lower Egypt in the north. Two lands become one kingdom. For the first time, Egypt is united under a single crown. Narmer builds his capital at Memphis, near where the Nile spreads into the delta. It is the perfect place. The river gives water, food, and a way to travel. Each year, the Nile floods its banks, leaving behind rich soil. Crops grow in huge amounts. Food becomes power. And power builds a civilization. At the center of it all is the pharaoh. Not just a king, but a living god. The people believe he controls the floods, the harvest, even the balance of the world. His word is law. His rule is absolute. As the years pass, Egypt grows stronger. This is the Old Kingdom. A time of order, wealth, and great building. Along the desert edge, something rises that the world has never seen before. The pyramids. The Great Pyramid of Giza towers over the land. Built from over 2 million stone blocks, each one cut and placed by hand. For nearly 4,000 years, it will stand as the tallest structure on Earth. Nearby, the Sphinx watches in silence. These are not just tombs. They are symbols of power, of belief, of a civilization reaching for eternity. But beneath this strength, cracks begin to form. The Nile does not always flood as it should. Years of low water bring drought. Crops fail. Hunger spreads. Without food, the people suffer. Without trust, the power of the pharaoh begins to fade. Local leaders rise in different regions. Warlords take control of their own lands. The kingdom starts to break apart. The strong center that once held Egypt together begins to collapse. The old kingdom falls into chaos. Egypt breaks. But the idea of Egypt does not. Egypt rises again. After years of chaos, strong rulers bring the land back together. This is the start of a new age, a golden age. Power returns, and this time it reaches far beyond the Nile. Warrior pharaohs lead Egypt into battle. Thutmose III marches his armies north into Syria. Ramesses II fights great wars against the Hittites. Egypt is no longer just a kingdom. It is an empire. Its borders stretch far across the land. Gold, goods, and people flow back into Egypt from conquered regions. With this wealth, the pharaohs build on a grand scale. Huge temples rise at Karnak and Luxor. Statues of kings stand tall, carved from solid stone. Deep in the desert, tombs are hidden in the Valley of the Kings. These are filled with treasure, made for the afterlife of rulers who still see themselves as gods. Egypt is now one of the most powerful places on earth. Its name is known across many lands. Trade moves through its cities. Its culture spreads far and wide. But even at its peak, there are signs of strain. Empire comes at a cost. Many of the workers who build these temples are forced into labor. People from conquered lands are taken as slaves. The wealth of Egypt is built on control and often on suffering. Still, Egypt holds strong. In 1259 BC, something new happens. After years of war, Ramesses II makes peace with the Hittites. They sign what is known as the first recorded peace treaty in history. It is a sign of power but also of limits. Even great empires cannot fight forever. Then, around 1200 BC, the world begins to shake. Across the eastern lands, cities fall. Trade routes break. Kingdoms collapse. A mysterious group known as the Sea Peoples attacks from the sea. They strike fast and hard, leaving destruction behind. Egypt fights back. The pharaoh defends the land and drives them away. The kingdom survives. But the damage is deep. Trade does not fully return. Power begins to weaken. Egypt stands, but it is no longer the same. It will never again rule with the same strength. Egypt does not fall all at once. Instead, it slowly loses control of its own future. After the great empire weakens, new powers begin to rise around it. One by one they come. First the Libyans, then the Nubians from the south, then the Assyrians, known for their strong armies. After them, the Persians take control. Each new ruler wears the crown of Egypt. Each one calls himself Pharaoh, but they are not truly Egyptian. Still, something deeper remains. The temples are still there. The old gods are still worshipped. The language, the art, the way of life, it all survives beneath foreign rule. Egypt is no longer in charge, but it is not gone. Then, in 332 BC, everything shifts again. A young king from Macedonia arrives. His name is Alexander the Great. But instead of destroying Egypt, he accepts it. He honors its gods. He is crowned as Pharaoh. Alexander founds a new city by the sea. He calls it Alexandria. It quickly becomes one of the greatest cities in the world. Wide streets, great buildings, and a famous library that holds hundreds of thousands of scrolls. Scholars come from many lands to study here. Alexandria becomes a center of knowledge, where ideas from different cultures meet. After Alexander dies, his general Ptolemy takes control of Egypt. His family will rule for nearly 300 years. They are Greek, but they rule as Egyptian kings. They build temples, follow traditions, and try to blend both worlds together. Then comes Cleopatra VII. She is the last ruler of this line. Unlike those before her, she learns the Egyptian language. She is smart, skilled, and determined to keep Egypt free. She forms alliances with powerful men from Rome, first Julius Caesar, then Mark Antony. For a time it works, but Rome is growing too strong. In 31 BC, war breaks out. Octavian, the future ruler of Rome, defeats Antony and Cleopatra in a great battle. Soon after, Cleopatra takes her own life. With her death, a long chapter ends. Egypt is no longer a kingdom. It becomes a province of Rome. For the first time in 3,000 years, Egypt is no longer ruled by its own people. Egypt stops ruling and starts feeding empires. Egypt changes again, but it does not disappear. Under Roman rule and later the Byzantine Empire, a new belief spreads along the Nile. Christianity takes root. Churches rise where temples once stood. The Coptic Church becomes one of the oldest Christian communities in the world. Egypt is no longer the land of pharaohs, but its story continues. Then in 641 AD, another great shift begins. Arab-Muslim armies enter Egypt. Their advance is fast and strong. In less than 2 years, they take control of the land. A new faith arrives. A new way of life begins. Near an old Roman fortress, a new city is built. It is called Fustat. This becomes the first Islamic capital of Egypt. But it is only the beginning. In 969 AD, a new city rises nearby. It is called Al-Qahira, Cairo, the Victorious. This city will grow into something far greater than anyone expects. Cairo quickly becomes one of the most important cities in the world. Trade flows through its streets. Goods from Africa, Asia, and Europe pass through its markets. Wealth builds. Knowledge grows. In 970 AD, Al-Azhar is founded. It becomes a center of learning, one of the oldest universities still active today. Scholars gather here to study religion, science, and philosophy. Cairo is not just a place of power. It is a place of ideas. As the years pass, Cairo shines as a great capital of the Islamic world. But danger is never far. In 1258, the Mongols destroy Baghdad, the heart of Islamic power. Fear spreads across the region. Their armies move west, leaving ruin behind them. It seems nothing can stop them. But in 1260, something unexpected happens. The Mamluks, a group of warrior rulers in Egypt, rise to face them. At the Battle of Ain Jalut, they defeat the Mongol army. It is one of the first major defeats the Mongols ever suffer. Cairo stands strong. It becomes the last great center of power in the region. A place where culture, faith, and strength come together. But even strongholds do not last forever. In 1517, a new power arrives from the north. The Ottoman Empire defeats the Mamluks and takes control of Egypt. Cairo is no longer the center of a great empire. It becomes a province ruled from far away. The city is still alive, but its role has changed. Decisions are made in Istanbul, not Cairo. The energy that once made it a world power begins to fade. At the same time, something else is happening far beyond Egypt. European sailors find new sea routes around Africa. Ships no longer need to pass through Egypt to trade with Asia. The great spice trade, which once brought wealth through Cairo, begins to die. Trade slows. Money dries up. The city that once connected continents starts to lose its place in the world. But Egypt does not vanish. Its markets still run. Its mosques still stand. The Nile still flows. Life continues even as its importance fades. Then, in 1798, everything changes again. A young general from France arrives with an army. His name is Napoleon Bonaparte. He lands in Egypt with thousands of soldiers and marches toward Cairo. He defeats the Mamluks near the pyramids, fighting in the shadow of one of the oldest wonders of the world. But Napoleon brings more than war. He brings scholars, scientists, and artists. They study everything they see. The land, the people, the ruins. They draw, measure, and record. Their work becomes a massive collection of knowledge about Egypt. For the first time in centuries, the world begins to truly study and understand this ancient land. Egypt is no longer just a place of old stories. It becomes a place of new interest. A place the world wants to explore, learn from, and control. Napoleon's rule does not last long. After a few years, his forces are pushed out by the British and the Ottomans. But the impact remains. Egypt has been open to the outside world. It is no longer isolated. And now the world is coming in. After the French leave, Egypt does not return to the way it was. Out of the chaos, a new leader rises. His name is Muhammad Ali. In 1805, he takes control and begins to reshape Egypt in a bold and forceful way. He builds a strong army trained in the European style. He sets up factories to produce weapons, tools, and goods. Farms are reorganized to grow more crops, especially cotton, which is in high demand. Students are sent to Europe to learn new skills. Egypt begins to change fast. It starts to look modern. For the first time in centuries, Egypt is growing stronger again. But this growth comes at a cost. Many people are forced to work. Taxes are heavy. Change is not always kind. Then comes one of the greatest projects in history, the Suez Canal. Opened in 1869, it cuts through the land linking the Mediterranean Sea to the Red Sea. Ships can now travel between Europe and Asia much faster. What once took months now takes weeks. Egypt stands at the center of global trade again. The world passes through its waters. This should have made the country rich and powerful. But the canal is expensive. The rulers borrow large amounts of money to build and maintain it. Debt grows quickly. And with debt comes control. In 1875, Britain buys Egypt's shares in the canal. Just a few years later, in 1882, British forces enter Egypt and take control. Egypt still has its own rulers, but real power now lies in foreign hands. The land is used to serve others. Cotton is grown for British factories. Wealth flows out of Egypt instead of staying within it. In the cities, some live in comfort. But in the villages along the Nile, life is hard. Farmers work long hours under heavy taxes. Inequality grows. Over time, anger begins to rise. People want control of their own country. They want freedom. In 1919, protests break out across Egypt. Workers strike. Crowds fill the streets. This is the start of a strong national movement. Britain gives Egypt limited independence in 1922, but it still keeps control of key areas. The struggle is not over. Egypt is changing. It is building, growing, and becoming modern, but it is still not free. In 1952, everything changes again. A group of young army officers rises up against the king. In one night, they take control of the country. The monarchy falls. After nearly 150 years, the old rule is gone. Egypt becomes a republic, led by its own people. One man soon stands at the center of this new Egypt. His name is Gamal Abdel Nasser. He wants to make Egypt strong, proud, and fully independent. In 1956, he makes a bold move. He takes control of the Suez Canal. It had been run by foreign powers for years. Now it belongs to Egypt. Britain, France, and Israel respond with force. They invade. War begins. But something unexpected happens. Pressure from other world powers forces them to stop. They withdraw. Nasser stands firm. Egypt holds the canal. For many, this is more than a victory. It is a symbol. Egypt is no longer under foreign control. It stands on its own. But progress brings hard choices. In the south, a massive project begins. The Aswan High Dam is built to control the Nile and provide power. It helps farms and cities grow. But it also floods ancient lands. Villages disappear. History is lost underwater. Egypt moves forward, but not without loss. In 1967, war returns. In just 6 days, Egypt loses the Sinai Peninsula to Israel. It is a heavy blow. The country faces both hope and struggle at the same time. Years pass and new leaders take power. Some bring peace. Some bring control. The country grows, but challenges remain. Then in 2011, the people rise again. Crowds fill Tahrir Square in Cairo. They demand change, freedom, and a new future. The longtime leader steps down. For a moment, it feels like a new chapter has begun. But the story does not settle. Power shifts again. Control returns in new forms. The cycle continues. Through it all, Egypt endures. It has been ruled by kings, empires, and its own people. It has faced rise and fall, hope and hardship. And still the Nile flows. The call to prayer rises over Cairo. Life moves forward just as it always has. Egypt does not just have history. Egypt is history, still living, still changing, and still being written. Cairo has been conquered, rebuilt, reshaped, and reclaimed more times than almost any city on earth. Empires have come with power and left with nothing. Great rulers have stood tall and then faded into memory. Kingdoms have risen on this land and fallen back into dust. But some things have never changed. The Nile is still here, flowing as it always has. The same river that gave life to the first farmers still runs through the heart of Egypt today. The call to prayer still rises above the city, just as voices have risen here for centuries. The story never stopped. It only changed. From the first pharaoh to modern Cairo, Egypt has been shaped by both power and struggle. It has been broken, rebuilt, and reborn again and again. And through it all, it has endured. Egypt does not just have history. Egypt is history, still unfolding, still unfinished. If you made it this far, you've just experienced 5,000 years in one sitting. Like this video, subscribe, and tell me, what part of Egypt's story stayed with you the most? As always, we'll see you in the past.